Hi everyone, and welcome to my video about how to keep your flowers lasting for longer, and I mean a lot longer. In my house, we don't get flowers that often because frankly, the cats eat them and they ruin them and then they get blisters. In fact, about a week and a half ago, we had flowers in the house and Molly devoured them, and now she has this sad looking blister on her bottom lip. It kind of always looks like she has her tongue sticking out. So that's why we don't keep them around all that often, but when I do have them, I want them to look amazing and last because they're kind of a treat. They're a little bit expensive and they're so beautiful. So I've done a lot of research and I've come up with 8 surprising ways to keep your flowers lasting longer, including 2 DIY flower food recipes. If you haven't done so already, remember to subscribe to this channel to get more great tips like this. And let me know in the comments down below if you have pets that eat your flowers. The first thing you want to do is prep your vase, because if it's a little bit dirty, that dirt and bacteria can actually affect how long your flowers will last for. So give it a good rinse with some plain white vinegar and then rinse it out with regular water and fill it with lukewarm water. Lukewarm water is going to be better absorbed by the flowers, helping them live longer, unless you have tulips or hyacinths, in which case you want to use cool water. Now that your vase is ready, you want to prep your flowers. So you just receive them, you have a little fake tear, you're all excited. You're going to unwrap them and cut each flower to size. Obviously you want to have it so it's a nice length between the end of the vase and the tip of the flower. So you can kind of decide what you like, and you want to cut your flowers on a 45-degree angle. Now keep in mind, as soon as your flowers are out of water, they start to dry, so you want to do this pretty quickly. Another thing to do is look for those little leaves on the flower stem, and you can just trim those off. I find that they sort of crowd the vase, and it also doesn't give the flowers the opportunity to bloom and flourish as much. So a lot of people will just trim those off. Flower food and water. So when you get that little package of flower food with your flowers, that's good for 1 day. Open up the packet, pour it into your vase, and give it a good stir. Then you can just place your flowers in there, but you'll want to replace that water every other day or when it looks yellow. And when you do that, you can use one of these 2 simple flower food recipes. The first recipe is super simple, and this works for 2 cups of water. So if you need more water for your vase, just dial up the recipe. So to your 2 cups of water, you're going to add a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar and a teaspoon of sugar. Now, although we're not supposed to eat corn syrup, if you happen to have corn syrup on hand, flowers love that the most. So you can use a teaspoon of that instead of sugar. This one's super simple. To 2 cups of water, you're just going to add 1 tablespoon of lemon lime soda, like Sprite or 7-Up or whatever it is where you live. The reason this works so well is because you've got the citric acid and the sugar. So, you know, a little for you, a little for the flowers. So now that your vase or vase, you know what I say both, tomato, you know what I'm talking about. Now that it's all prepped and your flowers are prepped, it's time to actually focus on placement. So the first thing to keep in mind is you never want to overcrowd your vase. And the reason is because if your flowers are too close together, they can't bloom beautifully, which is the whole point of having flowers. And also they can start to get moldy, which is gross and the complete opposite reason of why you would ever want to display something pretty. When it comes to actually putting your flowers into your vase, you can use the setup that the florist used, or you can get a little bit creative. You might want it to be the tallest in the middle and then have the shorter flowers on the perimeter. And what I like to do is remove a lot of the greenery that came with my flowers. I like to keep mine pretty simple, and I like to vary up the color placement. But in this case, I'm using all the same color because these were just so gorgeous and I could not resist them. Placement of your vase is also important, as in where you're leaving it in the house. The first thing to know is that if your flowers are in direct sunlight, they're going to dry out or they might singe. So you actually want to keep them in a cool, dark place, like with so many other things in life that belong in a cool, dark place. And a really cool tip is overnight, you can actually place your flowers in the fridge, which will help keep them perky and alive for longer. By the way, I have so much more information about flowers on my website, melissamaker.com, so I'll link the article in the description box down below. If you're going to have your flowers in the kitchen, because obviously it looks gorgeous, just make sure that you keep them away from fruits that you leave out, in a fruit bowl or on a little banana hanger, because fruits emit what's called ethylene gas. And I've talked about this a lot in the past on Clean My Space, but especially bananas, they are the worst offenders. They let off this invisible gas that ripens fruit and anything else around it, including flowers. However, if flowers are exposed to ethylene gas, it actually keeps the buds closed, so it's not a good thing for your flowers. Just make sure you keep the two kind of separate. This is for all of you pet parents out there like me who love flowers but know that your animals get right into them every time you put them out. So when I remember to do this, I will move the plants or flowers to a higher location. So, a high counter or a high tabletop, something where the cats can't get to, because my cats will definitely hop up on any surface and eat the flowers if they can. And another thing that you can try, which has definitely proven to work, because I've tried it this time, is to sprinkle some cayenne pepper on the petals of the flowers. It won't affect the flower too much, as in you might see a little bit of the coloring if it's a lighter color flower, but it will definitely make your pet sneezy and they won't want to go near it. And if you have a potted plant, you can also sprinkle cayenne pepper right there into the soil. And then there's just some general maintenance. Anytime you walk by your flowers, just give them a quick look and take out anything that's sort of dead or really wilting, because if anything is dead in the actual flower bouquet, it can start to affect the quality of the other flowers around it. Also, remember to change out your water. It's really important to do that. And if you notice that all of your flowers are kind of wilting, but you really want to stretch it that one extra day, you totally can with a bit of hairspray. So just do it the same way you would spray your hair. Make it look pretty. You can hold it about a foot away and just give it a nice little mist, and that will perk them up and keep them looking good for pretty much one more day. And then the game is over and you really have to get rid of them. Those are your tips on how to keep your flowers lasting for longer and looking amazing. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I'll see you next time.